here we go. All right. We are here on, what did they say? The 19th of September. Quick, I'll just kind of check in. Ryan, how we doing, dude?
Doing well.
How's
Doing well.
how are we feeling in the program? Are we having any questions right now as to how things are going or what we're doing? Thank you for the topic for today, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, the program is going great. That man maker workout you sent me, my quads are still destroyed. Get up and down even from anything at work. So I have you to thank for that.
Yeah,
But
baby.
it's on the mend and it feels good. 2 days of rest and then active mobility tomorrow. So looking
Nice.
forward to it.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah. I think I had Tyler go through something very similar today, so that's why he's
Yeah,
feeling
brutal.
he's feeling it too. So cool, man. Well, as always, let me know if you have any questions moving forward, but we'll move on. Zach, what's up, dude? How's the shoulder? Are we surgically good to go? Where are we
Oh
feeling?
yeah. No, we're good. I went through and did those makeups, like you saw yesterday, and it's fine. My doc was like, "Oh, don't pull the stitches too hard," because I had a couple potential spots for skin cancer removed for biopsy in the back of my shoulder. And he's like, "Don't get them wet and don't get them dirty." And I'm like, I work out outside and I get really sweaty because my coach is an ass. So
Hell yeah.
let me try it. But my shoulder hasn't fallen off, so I'd
There
say
you
we're
go.
good.
That's good. You just gotta take a shower and then it'll be all right, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
we could dump peroxide on it if you want.
oh, I've pretty much done that daily too, and
Yeah.
nothing beats a cold shower and peroxide in a wound.
Hell
Let me tell
yeah.
you.
Nice, man. Cool. All right. I know I kind of started with you, Tyler, but what's up, dude? You got questions yet or what?
No, things are good. First couple days going well. Still kind of
Cool.
figuring everything out with the food and all that end of it as well.
Yeah. Did we mob through? Did you meal prep your ass off with that list or what? What
Yeah.
was it? Yeah.
Yeah, I got it all figured out. Hitting like 200 grams of protein a day.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's not
That's it,
easy.
man. It's not. It's hard. It's
Very hard.
fucking hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a struggle. I eat way more than I feel like I want to.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're probably hitting what we need to repair, and you'll start to see that those things start to happen. Well, cool. All right. If nobody else has any alibis, we'll kind of get into the topic for today. So I've got Ryan hit me up shortly after last week's webinar and was like, "Hey man, let's talk about like spot reduction and fat loss." And spot reduction is essentially like me being like, "Oh, I'm going to do a bunch of crunches and I'm going to get a six pack, or I'm going to do curls and my, arm flap's going to go away and I'm going to be jacked." Or, you can pretty much substitute any body part that you want into that equation. And then, I'll say the devil in this situation here is really in the mirror yourself, and that the devil on the shoulder who's, talking to you specifically about whatever part of your body that you're likely the most self-conscious about is probably the one that you notice the most. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of how you put on body fat as well as how it comes off, because it's the same way. A couple common misconceptions, a little bit of science, some approaches to our general approach here. And then we can, end with a little Q&A if you guys have any questions that are here live. And obviously, if you guys think of any, we can chat about them later. So real quick, the same way that people put on weight is the same way that it comes off. And the way that you put on weight is that your body essentially creates, these fat cells that are going to stick on to your body. Now, whether you're male or female, whether your genetics kind of dictate where you put on weight first, we'll say. So that is something that is unique typically to you. A lot of times males will do it around the stomach, females around the hips, sometimes in the butt as well. They end up doing it too. But essentially, you don't wander into putting on weight, and you don't wander out of taking it off. So it's kind of like I like to relate it to finance. There's a really good fitness guy that I've been following for a couple of years who says, like, you don't wander into debt. Typically credit card debt is something that you develop over a long period of time of you having, spending that's not super controlled, and the same way with gaining weight and the same way with losing weight, in that you can't, expect one day to be 200 pounds and then the next week you're going to be like 250. It doesn't quite work that way. You're typically going to put that on, half a pound here, a pound here, quarter pound here, whatever, in the same way when it comes off. So it's going to be something that you kind of chip away at, something that you have to make sure that you are conscious of while you're starting to reach towards your goal. Step one. Remember that you don't burn fat in like a localized manner. So essentially, like, say I'm out and I go for a run, and a buddy of mine's like, "Hey man, it looks like you're really starting to lose weight." Like, and I'm like, "Really?" Like, I got, a shirt on and sweatpants, or say it's in the winter time. I know nobody in this live call right now lives where it's cold, but let's say I'm running up in Lake Tahoe in the wintertime and they're like, "Oh yeah, it looks like you're losing weight." And I'm like, "Well, how do you know?" And they're like, "Well, your face, you can start to see more distinct features on your face," or they're starting to see those things kind of come together. So that fat loss is not going to be something that's localized to just my stomach, just my legs, just my chest or arms. It's going to be something that kind of falls off wholly throughout the body, not just in one spot. You may start in one spot, you may end in one spot, but typically it's something that happens gradually in all places, not just one. We've talked about it before. Typically fat loss is going to be something that requires you to be in a caloric deficit. It's actually the only way. So in general, I think everybody in this program is written in to have, or excuse me, not in this program, in the live call right now, is written in to be in a caloric deficit because the goal is weight loss. So I'll give the horrible example, and I don't want any of you to do this, but I'm going to give it anyway. Let's say your maintenance calorie limit was like 2,200 calories. If you had 2,200 calories all day long, you'd never gain a pound, you'd never lose a pound. And if you hit it perfectly, you would stay exactly the way you are, right? Your composition may change a little bit, but your weight's not going to change. Now let's say we decide that we're going to eat gummy bears and we're going to eat 2,000 calories of gummy bears. Well, you're in a 200 calorie deficit, so you will lose weight. Your body composition may be different. You may end up, in a awful place with all the sugar, but at the end of the day, you are going to lose weight until your new maintenance calorie limit changes. So as you start to burn that weight down, typically a lighter person doesn't require as many calories to operate. They're not using the energy that a heavier person's using to move their body around, to breathe, to walk, to exercise. All those things take more calories the heavier that you are. So as you start to change that, now let's say you come down and your new maintenance calorie is 2,000 after you lose 3 or 4 pounds. Well, now you're going to stay at 2,000 calories. And then if you eat 2,000 calories of gummy bears, you're going to stay at 2,000 calories. Or if you eat 2,000 calories of ground beef or, whatever lean meats, protein, produce, and water. So be aware that the only thing that's going to help you lose weight and or gain weight is going to be a caloric surplus or deficit. And that's kind of what I really want to hit on. Big thing that I want to also attack is that for you to effectively lose body fat in general, it needs to be like a long approach. It's got to be something that we're doing in a realistic and healthy manner, and it's not something that we can rush. So a couple of things, setting a realistic goal is going to be huge. So let's say, I'm like, okay, hey Blaze, I'm going to start working with you. I'm 300 pounds and I want to lose 100 pounds in 3 months. I'm going to be like, holy fuck, man. 100 pounds in 3 months is a lot of weight. You're talking about a third of your body weight that we're trying to shed off of you. And I would tell that person that, hey, this is unrealistic. This is something that I don't think that we can do, especially in a healthy way and something that's going to promote some longevity in your health. So realizing that there's a little yin and yang. I love being ambitious. I love setting an ambitious goal, but setting one that's unrealistic is just going to either lead to disappointment or land you in a hospital. And we don't want either of those things. The next thing that's important when we're affecting the fat loss is going to be tracking your progress. And this is why we do the weekly check-in forms, right? This is why we have a touch point where typically, and just so you guys know, every 2 weeks, I like to really look at and evaluate how our macros were going, how our workouts are going, and then try and pair the two and be like, okay, so let's say, for instance, Zach, I look at Zach's macros and he's like, yeah, I've been hitting about 2,000 calories for the last 2 weeks, and I'm not really seeing a lot of change, and the workouts are going good. And I'm like, well, to me, that now means that we have found, and although we eyeballed and we like guesstimated with our total daily energy expenditure calculator, we estimated what his maintenance calories are. Now we know for a fact, okay, Zach is now, his body is not changing. We've eaten 2 weeks this way. We've been very scripted. We've been tracking it properly, and we're working out hard. Zach's maintenance calories are now 2,000. So for us to start to lose weight, what do we need to do? We need to drop them down 200, 300 calories to be in that deficit, or our workout intensity and our days per week that we're in the gym needs to tick up. So there's a couple ways that we can skin the cat. The next thing that I think is really important is maintaining the diet, clean and balanced diet. I've talked about it before: protein, produce, water, rinse, wash, repeat. But I like finding things that you enjoy and making sure that we still incorporate them into your diet. So personally, I don't know if you guys have had them, and I really should bring some out from the freezer. There are these things called True Fruit. True Fruit is like God's gift to dessert. It's fucking unreal. It's basically like if they take a raspberry and they coat it in like white and dark chocolate and they like super freeze it, and then it's in the freezer section. It is absolutely incredible. And I will have True Fruit like multiple times a week. I'll have like a little handful of these fruits. They're awesome. They've got a little sugar in them, understood. But at the end of the day, the worst thing that we're eating is going to be some, chocolate covered fruit. Like, I'm good with that. And I think that you should find ways to incorporate the things that you love to eat too. So it's not just about eating clean 100% of the time. It's about eating clean, that 80 to 85% of the time, and then giving yourself those breaks, giving yourself that little bit of leeway, because that's what builds you on the path for the long haul. The last thing is going to be balancing your exercise with rest and recovery. We've talked a lot in the weekly check-in forms, and then when I chat with you guys as well, and I ask the questions too of like, how are you sleeping and how's your stress? The reason is that as we start to work towards effective fat loss, your body may end up putting itself into a position where, let me use an example again. We'll say Zach, we'll just say Ryan this time. Ryan is in a position where we calculate his approximate maintenance calories and they're at 2,000. And we're like, okay, Ryan decides to track his food, and I don't get to look at his food until Friday. And all week, Ryan is eating 1,000 calories. He's not getting even half of his total daily energy expenditure that we're calculating. What his body could end up doing, because of his lack of hormone production, or because he's not getting the amount of food that he needs so that he can be in a healthy caloric deficit, his body could just start to retain and hold on to all the food and energy that it's getting and essentially go into what's called survival mode. So your body's like, holy shit, I don't know the next time I'm going to eat. So now I'm going to hold on to all of this food and all of this energy, and I'm going to store it as fat so that I'm going to be good to go. And what it could do is it could throw your hormones all out of whack, and you could really, really set yourself back. So by balancing your body's ability to rest, recover from the workouts, and be in a caloric deficit that's not a super aggressive cut, what we can do is make sure that our hormone regulation is good. We make sure that we're sleeping well and affecting the recovery with our protein intake. And then we're able to perform the next workout, live for the next day, and then really, really start to see the results over time. The other thing too that I think is going to be really important as we start to target this is like these progress photos that I always say that they're optional, and it's not something that I would blast all over social media platform or anything like that. But the way that we can really, really track progress is to, take those on a weekly basis. When we're in week 6, I think, Ryan, are you in week 5 or week 6? Remind me. You're muted. I'm just going to say that you're probably in 5.
I don't. Probably 5. Yeah.
I think you're in 5. So Ryan's in a unique position where he's about to be in a spot where I think he's going to be able to look back on week 1 or week 2 pictures and be like, holy shit, we're starting to really come a long way. Because right around, we starting to turn this corner between weeks 5 through 9 is when you're really going to start to see a really big body shift as we start to progress through the program. So make sure that you're doing that, because that's not only going to motivate you, it's going to make sure that we're on the right track, because it's not always going to be the scale that moves, right? So think about this, like we're in a caloric deficit. We're putting on some sort of, muscle mass. We should be losing weight, but, let's say we didn't poop before we hopped on the scale. Let's say we, drank a lot of water, or maybe we went out to the bar and we had some beers and then we hop on the scale the next day. The scale is this one trick pony that will tell you, how much mass is on top of it at any point of time. And I don't want the scale to run you and run your progress, run your results. So there may be a point where, we're like, hey, the scale matters now, and this is where we need to start to focus more attention. And that will either look like an increase in activity or a decrease in our caloric intake. But really, I think the biggest thing that affects this and make sure that we're on the right track is being honest when we're tracking our macros. So if a tablespoon of peanut butter, and I used to do this all the time, I'd be like, oh, that's 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and I'm scooping it up, and then like this would be flat, right? And my mound of peanut butter is like this. It's like a fucking golf ball on top of the spoon and then some, right? Or like almost looks like an ice cream cone, like triple stack, right? So in that case, like I'm probably tripling or quadrupling that intake. And then if I just log it as 1 serving of peanut butter, then I'm totally fucking up all the calculations. And again, and I've said it to pretty much everybody at this point, like it doesn't matter that we're perfect every day. It just matters that we're close. So if your goal is to get 200 grams of protein, if you're flirting between 160 and whatever, 220 or 160 and 200 a day, we're going to start to see those results start to come. So it's not about being perfect. It's about building that sustainable, model as we start moving forward and making sure we're incorporating shit that you like to do in the gym and in the kitchen. Cool. I think that's kind of all the big points that I had. Do any of you guys have any big questions about, spot reduction and fat loss, or calories in, calories out, or, we could even talk a little bit about, fad diets and keto, or I don't know. And I don't want to put you all on the spot, but let me know if you have anything else, the guys that are here. Maybe. Crickets, Bueller. Nice. Nice. Okay. You sure, Ryan? You look like you're pondering life's greater questions here.
No, I think that was pretty articulate in a way that we could come away confident in what our diet is looking like as opposed to our results.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been looking at everybody's MyFitnessPal pretty, I will say, more regularly within the last week or two. And I'll say, like, if our goals aren't set properly in there, and then we're not getting to, our intake, or we're not tracking it properly, then it's just like, any other system where if it's garbage in, it's garbage out, right? If we're putting in feedback to MyFitnessPal, I'm interpreting that and being like, okay, I need to take this information. We need to make a change because we're not seeing the result that we want. And then I find out, hey, I actually just didn't track like 10 of these snacks I had like a bag of chips and I had this or that or whatever. I'm totally cool with you eating the bag of chips. I'm never going to tell you not to do that, but I just want to know that we did that so that we're not making adjustments to a program without having the facts kind of in front of us to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So just make sure that you're being honest with the way you're tracking it. Again, I don't expect you to travel with like a food scale or anything like that. You can just be like, hey, by the top of the chicken that I bought at the food store or whatever says this is 8 ounces, and you know it's about the size of your fist, and you're like, sweet, anything that's about that big is going to be around 8 ounces. You can totally eyeball that and kind of press on and move along. So don't feel like you have to travel with a food scale. I think it's a little bit aggressive, but you only understand how much things weigh and how much a serving is if you do measure them out for a little bit of time before you start to get kind of used to what that serving size looks like. And sometimes I'll even go back to it, reel myself back in and be like, oh, it actually wasn't, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. It's actually like 2 that I just had. So make sure that you're thinking about that too as we kind of progress. I appreciate all of you guys in here, especially. I've seen form videos from all of you on all the workouts that we've had, and super appreciate those, because it's a way that we can kind of cue in the body and make sure that we're getting that direct feedback. If any of those comments ever don't make any sense, make sure you guys reach out, give me a call, and I can try and explain, or I can shoot you like a voice note and try and talk it through, or even better, I can record a video and send it to you via like a link or something like that as well, to make it make more sense. I think I'm probably going to do one within the next couple days on like properly bracing your core, because I think I'm finding when I get feedback from you guys of like bent over rows, some people are in there. Let's like consider like my finger is like their back, right? Optimal position would be like here. I don't know, like at like a 45 or so angle. Sometimes we have guys that are like bent over like this, where their back is super bent. And then sometimes we have guys that are bowed like totally the opposite direction. And both of those, if you imagine for a second that this cup is a like soda can instead, super hard to see. Imagine this is soda can, right? We know that soda cans are really strong when we step on the top, but the second that we put a load on that's on the side, that's when we start to really crack the can, and the can will kind of crumble, right? So imagine that your back and your spine is that soda can. And if you're not braced, if you're not like essentially like pressing air and like holding your core steady, you're going to end up bowing it or bending it on the side. And that's going to be that one thing that the only place the stress can go after you introduce that force on your core is going to be to your lower back or to your upper back even. So that's the thing that is like, everyone's like, oh, I have lower back pain. It's like, well, let's talk about your core strength and how we're bracing our core to make sure that we're able to take that stress. So quick and dirty right there. I plan to try and do something a little bit more formal for you guys, but I'm hoping that helps kind of moving forward to make sure that we're not introducing more lower back pain, because I know that's definitely something that at least all the guys in this chat are Coast Guard guys, and whether you're on a small boat or whether you were doing that before, like that definitely starts to wear on the body. So want to make sure that we're not promoting that as well. All right. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to say we are good to go. Send me a topic if you want to chat about something next week, and we'll get it in. So appreciate you guys for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Sure. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.